Welcome to Seven Figure Chiro, the podcast where we cut through the noise and give you the unfiltered truth about building a practice that grows beyond you.
We're your hosts, Dr. Jeff
and Kristin Berard.
Twice a month, we're diving into real strategies, proven systems, and success stories that help chiropractors and clinic owners scale into multi-disciplinary powerhouses without losing their sanity or their margins.
Whether you're just starting out as an associate or leading a thriving practice,
we'll show you how to turn vision into execution,
execution into profit,
and profit into freedom.
Let's get to work, because your seven-figure practice isn't built on theory.
It's built on action. Hello, welcome to Seven Figure Chiro. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Berard, along here with my wife, Kristin.
Hello.
So in today's episode, we're going to talk about hiring for values, not skills. So building a team that doesn't drain you. And this is kind of a skill to learn when hiring someone, because boy, is it really attractive when you find someone that has just an awesome skill set that your business needs. But man, if their values don't align with your business, it can be all for nothing, and it can be a very large disappointment. So hiring for values, not skills. So what does that mean? Especially in the chiropractic field, there's obviously some basic skills you expect anyone that you hire to have. So I'm not saying hire someone that doesn't have any skills, but hiring someone just because they have skills and maybe not embrace the core values can really be draining. And I'll give you an example. I'm not going to mention any names because these are good people and it wasn't their fault I hired them. But I remember I hired someone who I felt was overqualified. They just had a lot of experience. They knew a lot about the job they were supposed to perform. They worked at a very high level, and I was like, man, yeah, that would be awesome to have them in the office. But at the same time, I knew deep down that it was going to end up being a problem. They were going to be difficult to manage and difficult to lead. At the time, I'm not going to say desperate, but their skill set was so high, I overlooked a lack of values or a lack of congruency in their values and the business values. And it came back and backfired. So I would rather hire someone that has the basic skill sets that are needed, but outstanding values that are congruent to the business values, because with that combination, their skills can always be developed, but core values can't always be inherited. Some people just have different values. And, in our business, it is imperative that people are competitive. Competitive is an important core value to us. Having an ownership mentality, being able to have critical thinking and, observe the systems and the processes and come up ways to improve them instead of, if they see a problem with the process or whatnot, instead of just going along and letting problems persist and, a tumultuous environment for themselves and others, they'll come to the table with solutions. Honesty, right? Being really honest about how you feel about certain things in the office. Just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean you don't talk about it, right? It's communication, super important. So many times, in the past, over the last 26 years, we've hired people with amazing skill sets, but if they lack those fundamental values that your business holds, they're not going to last long. You invest so much in those people and have high expectations, and then you're left with disappointment.
I'm not quite sure when we came up with our core values, like our list that we actually laid out in front of all of our employees. Maybe this was like quite a few years ago, but I find that when you define your core values and you openly talk about them, put them out there for your existing employees, make sure you talk about them in your interviews with people, and ask questions that would pertain to your core values and see what those answers are. You may interview someone, and I know we've done this quite a few times, interview somebody and be like, man, they would be phenomenal for this business. And at the end of the day, you sit back and you think and you go, they don't even match like 50% of our core values. And when you're expecting your existing team members to meet or exceed what your core values are, and then you want to bring somebody in that just does not align with what your core values are, it's not going to work because they're not going to mesh well with the team. And there's going to be a lot of finger pointing because they're going to say, hey, well, you don't expect that from this person, but you expect that from me. And then also it affects the mentality of your team and your teamwork. And I know because we've interviewed quite a few people together and we've like kind of argued or bantered back and forth about whether this person was going to be good or and whatnot. And you've been right about quite a few people and I've been right about a couple people, and we kind of look at each other when something doesn't work out and go, damn, I should have listened to you. But in order for you to have a successful business, I think it's really important that you as a business owner develop what those core values are for you, because you're going to have those expectations of all of your employees and obviously yourself. And you will hire people that aren't always exceptional, but they're good and great people. And you can create exceptional employees if they have the same values that you have. It's a lot harder. As they say, you can't date somebody and then change them, right? So if you meet somebody and maybe, man, they're really attractive and maybe they have a really great job, but you are just not in line with that person is not going to change. You are getting what you're getting. And that's something to think about when you're hiring someone for your team, because that's your family, that's your business that you're running. And so it's really important to hire those people that you feel like are going to uplift everyone in the organization and maintain those core values. And then you and that person can help develop them and create that exceptional team member who meets and exceeds all of those things that you look for in great team members.
One of the things I think everybody should have in their core value list is a team player, because so often you come up with policies or make decisions in a business that might negatively affect one person, but it's better for the team as a whole. And someone that is a team player is willing to take that hit. Maybe it's more work that they have to take on for the same amount of pay. Maybe their hours aren't exactly congruent to the schedule they want, but it's better for the business. I don't know, whatever it is that that person's given that maybe affects them in a negative way, the person that's not a team member will just become a potential problem source and either leave or quit or sabotage. It can just be toxic. So a team player is someone who, is willing to take one for the team. And I think that's a value that any organization should look for when they bring someone on, because policies aren't always great for every single individual. You set up policies so that they're good for the team as a whole. And if they don't understand that, it's a problem. When I can't tell you how many times we've changed our hours, we've changed our schedules, we've put more work on people's tables because we feel they can handle it and they still have ample time to do all the things they need to do. They're willing to do that and not necessarily expect anything great in return other than maintain their job and keep showing their value. A team player isn't necessarily someone who every time you give them more responsibility, they ask for more money. That's not a team player. A good leader will give someone more to do because they have enough time and they're efficient at it. Obviously, there's certain parameters that I think justify increased pay, but Kristin and I and our operational manager are seeing it over and over again. When you ask someone to do something that wasn't in their typical job duties, they come to you and say, well, I want more money. Well, that's not teamwork, right? I get it. Sometimes people are due for increased compensation when their responsibility increases, or they have new credentials, or they do something that is going to really benefit the bottom line of the business. But you have to align those core values, in my opinion, ahead of the skills, because a skillful person doesn't mean they're a good team player. And if you have someone on your team that's not a good team player, it affects everyone else. So hopefully that resonates with some of you, because I can tell you through experience, the skill is obviously a basic necessity, and anyone that we interview has the basic skill set that we need. The question is, are their core values aligned so that they're a long-term team member that can be productive and at minimum produce the basic standard that we expect of them, and hopefully that they expect of themselves.
Yeah, and one of my favorite ones that is one of our core values is that ownership mentality. It really is important for all of our team members. I mean, we don't expect our team members to be owners. The reason why most of them are working for us is because they don't want to own their own business and have to deal with a lot of that business ownership stuff. They want to be exceptional at maybe being a provider. But having that ownership mentality really helps them make decisions on a daily basis, either with the patients or with how they're talking about the business in the community, or the decisions that they're making as an individual in the choices that they're making. We have now going on about 28, 29 employees. It's really important for everybody to think about how is it going to affect the business, because that's how it affects everybody. And so if the business is doing well and that particular employee is being a good team member and they're meeting at least the standards, if not exceeding the standards, and coming in with a positive attitude and really helping to uplift the whole entire business as a whole, the business is going to do good. And then they're going to continue to excel in their position financially, and they're going to be happier at work. And then some of the things that we do as far as in including our team is really involving them in helping to make decisions. You know, we pass around a survey every single month and have everybody fill out questions and ask them about their involvement and some of the involvement of the other team members. And one of the questions that they're asked is, do you have any suggestions? Because we want to know what people are thinking. We don't want everybody to just kind of keep their ideas locked in a box and not say anything. If they have an idea, we want them to talk about it. We want them to express it. It allows people to feel like they have a say in the organization, and they may not own the business, but they're helping make the decisions, and it makes them feel like they're being listened to and they are part of the team, and that the things that they talk about actually matter. Because sometimes when you work for these really big organizations and you never get to talk to maybe somebody that's 2 levels up from you, when you have ideas, people aren't listening to you. And so I think it's a really good idea to allow people to feel like they have that ownership mentality and can offer different suggestions.
One of the ways I really like to display someone's core values is, especially someone that comes in and they're really skillful. And those people that are really skillful typically want a lot of money. It's always fun to say, like, let's say you have an associate chiropractor that's coming in and, you know, they've been practicing for 20 years and they're this great provider. And they say, you know, I want $140,000 a year. I know, good. You must be really good. Yeah. I've been practicing for 20 years. You know, I've had $1 million business. I had this, I had that. Okay. So how confident are you that you can produce 3 times your salary for the business? Oh, I'm 100% confident. I mean, I've been doing that for, 20 years, my whole career. Okay. What's a time frame where you feel confident you can hit that number? Oh, by the first quarter for sure. Okay, great. How about I start you out at our salary that I start everyone out? And if you hit that number by the first quarter, you'll get exactly what you want. If you're so confident, I think that's fair. And if someone takes that job, you probably have a rock star. But if they deny or balk or, well, no, I need salary today, hit the door, because it really exposes someone's values, in my opinion. If they're not willing to gamble on themselves, why should you gamble on them? Put the pressure on them instead of you. When you're interviewing them, hey, this is what I expect from you. Do you feel confident you can do that? Yeah. How confident? Oh, very confident. Great. I'm glad you're confident, because this is what I'm going to offer you since you're so confident. Put it on them. That way, if they choose not to take that job, you just dodged a bullet. That's some advice I have during the interview process is tell people what your expectations are and ask them how confident they are to meet it. If they're not very confident, well, either you can offer them a lower wage so that you're not taking as big of a risk, or they're not the right fit. But very simple questions you can ask where you can reveal a lot in a short period of time, especially if someone isn't willing to gamble on their own production.
Yeah, and also when you're interviewing, especially in a provider-based position, it's a great idea to ask people what their core values are. Ask them before you tell them what your core values are, so you can get an idea if the two of you are going to kind of match, right? If they have very similar core values, you can bet that right away you likely have a synergistic relationship and it should work out, right? But if your core values are completely different and they're only driven by money and they are just very self-sufficient and want to work on their own, and maybe you have this teamwork mentality, that's not going to work. It's not going to work for your organization because you're not going to be able to mold them into what you want because that's not what their core values are.
So hopefully that shed a little light on hiring someone for values and not skill. I think skill is imperative and it's a basic necessity, but in my opinion, core values should always supersede skill. Basic skill and strong core values can really equate to an amazing team member that can turn into a rock star as opposed to vice versa. So I hope that was helpful. And until next time, keep up the good fight.
Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us on Seven Figure Chiro.
We hope today's episode gave you clarity, direction, and at least one strategy you can put into play right now.
Remember, building a seven-figure practice takes consistency, leadership, and execution.
But the reward is more freedom, more impact, and a business that truly serves you.
If you got value from today's conversation, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other chiropractors or clinic owners who are ready to grow.
And don't miss the next episode.
We'll keep breaking down what it takes to scale smart, lead strong,
and profit big.
Until then, keep pushing forward and building the practice and the life you've envisioned.